Welcome to Pathetic the podcast. The crew is all back together. It's been a few weeks, but we are all together again, ready to go. I hope you guys are ready. Before we even start, please hit the like button, subscribe, check out our LinkTr.ee, which should be down in the corner right over there, I think. And shoot us an email. Let us know what you think about what's going on. Mikey, how are you today?
I'm great. I have completely dug out of the snow. We are back to normal, hopefully. We are dodging a bullet when it comes to the snow this coming weekend. But my colleague Jeff, it sounds like you guys are going to be right in the thick of it. So Jeff, how are we doing? How you feeling, and B, how you doing?
Much better, feeling much better. And I'll tell you, Mike, I know you were in South Carolina for a little bit for school, but I don't know if you were down here for any kind of a snow storm or a snow flurry. But when it's about an inch, this entire place closes down completely. So we got about an inch or so, a little bit of ice on the road, and the schools are still closed. It's like the zombie apocalypse down here. But it happened at the perfect time. I got my White Castles, I got my frozen foods, watched great football, and made the best of it. But hopefully we don't get too much this weekend.
That was the best. When Jeff told me that he had his White Castles, I was like, oh.
Frozen White Castles, though, because there's none down here.
Yeah,
it gets the job done. It gets the job done down here.
Mike, you know what's really weird? I just read that on Route 22 here in Jersey, they're opening up a Crystals.
Now, so I'll give you my thoughts on Crystal Burger. It is not as good as White Castle. They don't steam the burgers, which is not as what they're not. Something is different about them. It also could be that they put mustard on them, which is not ideal for anyone in the tri-state area. We're in the I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the mustard circle around New York City, where if you go outside of this circle, they put mustard on the burgers in McDonald's. If you're inside the circle around New York City, they don't put mustard on the burgers. So, but yeah, Crystal is mustard on there. I've had Crystals. We've done a late night Crystals run, just like I would do a late night White Castle run. It's not the same. Not even close.
They have a bigger menu too, right?
Yeah, but you get the sliders. It's like White Castle's got a big menu too, but I'm not straying too far off of the sliders, and that's about it.
I'm getting the crave case, and that's about it. There's nothing else. Maybe the onion rings. Maybe the onion rings I would do. The fries, the burger. That's it. Nothing else.
I'll tell you this: you want a treat? Their clam strips are amazing. Or actually, they call them fish nibblers. And they're really good.
At White Castle?
Yeah, fish nibblers.
That's a risky move, I feel like.
So good.
Really?
Yeah.
They deep fry them enough, they're going to kill whatever they pulled them out of the Hudson River or wherever they got them from. You deep fry them enough, that'll kill everything off. So
I've also had their Sloppy Joe. And here's what I'll tell you. Here's how you know that I'm not just saying that I love everything at White Castle. Aunt Peachy liked the Sloppy Joe. So,
and if you think the White Castle burgers move through you quickly, I can only imagine how quickly the Sloppy Joes go through you, because that is you already broke it down before you even get it into you. So
the Sloppy Joe is the Formula One race car of fast food.
I didn't even know they had Sloppy Joes or these clam strips. I mean, is this new, or did I just not notice it on the menu? Because I just go for one thing there.
They've been adding for a while.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And they come and go. Like they might get rid of this of these Sloppy Joes this week, and then next week they're adding the 1921 White Castle, which is made differently. I think, Mike, I don't think the 1921 is steamed. I think it's just done on the grill, and it's got lettuce, tomatoes on it.
Yeah, I think something like that. All I know is if you're looking for an interesting date night for Valentine's Day, going inside of the White Castle, they have reservations. They put tablecloths down. They give you a menu. They have someone take your order. People get dressed up. I did this about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, and it was the most fun I've had in a White Castle. And I've done a lot of great late night White Castle runs, but the way they set it up, it's really like a nice little date night, and you get all the fixings of White Castle. They give you a little soft serve ice cream for dessert for free with the thing. It's very cool. So if you get a chance, if you're near a White Castle, there might still be reservations available. So
you know who's doing that now? Waffle House for Valentine's Day. I just read that. Funny story about Waffle House. We went down to Disney, and me and a friend, we dropped our daughters off at what is that? Universal City Walk, I guess it is.
Yep.
And so they didn't want us to hang around with them, so we went and we just went to a Waffle House to hang out for a couple hours. So he ordered the strawberry waffles. The picture was amazing. I mean, it had strawberries all over it with the strawberry syrup and everything. And the waffles came, and there was not a strawberry to be seen, except for these little red marks that look like the waffles had chickenpox or measles. And the guy says, and my friend says, "Where's the strawberries?" She goes, "They're inside the waffles." So he goes, and there was whipped cream on the picture. She goes, "Well, we're not allowed to use whipped cream because a couple of weeks ago, the late night crew had a whipped cream issue, and now there's no more whipped cream in this one Waffle House." And then, funny story, he got food poisoning.
Oh, man.
He missed 2 days at Disney. He had food poisoning. Oh, my God. That was crazy. But I think this is why people love us, because we also talk about these kinds of things.
Yes.
Mikey, I'm going to go to Jeff first, because Jeff was sick and couldn't really convey his feelings about the Giant coaching search coming to an end. I kind of know where he's going to go, because I can't imagine him not going this way. But Jeff, the floor is yours.
This was like the last hire I wanted. I didn't want John Harbaugh. Are you guys crazy? Like, what are you? Come on. No, of course. I mean, this is the guy. And I remember we talked about it before the Steeler-Raven game. We're like, this may be the game where one of these coaches gets fired and the Giants should hop on one of them. And it turned out to be Harbaugh. And, I talked about this probably 2 weeks ago with you guys. There's two kinds of coaches, right? You have the innovators and you have the CEOs. And John Harbaugh is the CEO, right? He's not the offensive innovator. He's not going to come in here with this master game plan to make Jackson Dart better. But what he will do is build a program, which is exactly what the Giants need. They need a culture guy. They need somebody to come in here and, frankly, take charge. And apparently the holdup between, getting the deal done, relatively quickly versus when it actually happened, about a 2-day delay, was the power struggle. And in my opinion, the Giants had zero leverage for negotiation. If you have somebody like John Harbaugh coming in with your decade plus of failure, you give him the keys to the castle and you let him do what he wants to do. And it seems like he doesn't have 100% control, but he has majority control. And I'm very happy about that. They got Denard Wilson from the Titans as a defensive coordinator. Initially, I didn't really know who he was. I looked him up. He's solid. He had a really good 2024 season, finished second in the league in defense. Last year wasn't great, but the Titans weren't great. So there's really nothing he can do. I like that hire. But what I think John Harbaugh is going to do is just pick the right people around him. And that's going to make every part of the team better. So, listen, it was obviously the right move. And I got to mention this. We spend a lot of time knocking the Giants ownership. I certainly do. I got to give John Mara a lot of credit. He switched around his cancer treatments to meet with John Harbaugh. He was there for all the meetings. Even though he hasn't done a good job, in my opinion, you got to give this guy a ton of credit for still having the passion to show up to every single meeting. Again, move his treatments around so he can be there. And listen, they put the full court press on and they got it done.
Yeah, I think they did a good job getting them. Here's my question to you. Did you listen to the show last week? And if you didn't, that's fine, because I want to run something by you.
I didn't listen to it yet. No.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to give you some information. Mikey knows exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you stats on two coaches. Okay?
Yep. Okay.
Both coaches have coached for 18 years. One of them is 180 wins and 113 losses. The other one is 174 wins and 112 losses.
Okay.
So that basically the one is at a 614 win percentage, the other is 608. Basically the same.
Basically the same thing.
The one with a 614 win percentage has been in 24 playoff games. He's 13-11, and he's won a Super Bowl. The other one has been in 22 playoff games, finished 11-11, and he's also won a Super Bowl. Who am I talking about?
Mike McCarthy
And
John Harbaugh.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen,
they're almost the same. And
100%.
I know you love McCarthy.
100%. Listen,
Yes.
he was my guy before John Harbaugh was fired.
Right.
And I would have been I'm more happy with Harbaugh because I just think he's just has a younger feel to him, and I think he'll relate better with these guys.
They're the same age, by the way.
I know, but that's why I said younger feel, right?
Harbaugh is older by a few months. Right.
Yes. I'm surprised if you look at him he's that age. That's why I said younger feel. He's in the weight room squatting like 400 pounds, right? So I think he relates to the younger guys better than like a McCarthy would. But no, man, listen, McCarthy. By the way, I thought he should have went to the Bills. Not to go off on that tangent, but Mike McCarthy's a great coach, so I would have no problem with him. But
Mike, what do you think about McCarthy in Pittsburgh?
I think that's a great fit for him. I think he's from the area, so getting to coach your hometown team, I think that's what this team needs. Now, it's weird because you typically think of the Steelers, and what they've historically done is they've brought in a younger coach, and he's been able to be there for a decade, 20 years, 18 years. They've had three coaches their entire existence, since the 70s. So it's surprising that they went with McCarthy because he's, at the absolute best, he's there for 8-9 years, and he gets into his, mid 70s, and he's going to retire at that point if everything goes well. But, you can't, you said it before, Jeff, it was your number one pick as a head coach before John Harbaugh got fired.
Yep.
Everybody wanted Mike McCarthy. So the fact that you get him, and you could maybe convince Aaron Rodgers to stick around one more year and bring the gang back together, I think you got a shot to do. But they're going to be in the same boat as a lot of the other teams trying to find a quarterback at this point. That's going to be their biggest issue.
They're not happy in Pittsburgh, by the way, with that hiring. They're not.
Right, he's too old. He's not.
I've talked to people in Pittsburgh. Yeah. They're not happy. But McCarthy did say at his press conference that he would love Aaron to come back. But I will say this too. They have Will Howard on their roster. And McCarthy is a quarterback guru. So I think there might be a shot. I'm not saying Will Howard to start and be successful. But if Aaron Rodgers comes back, I think that McCarthy can spend a lot of time with Will Howard. And then that possibly can be the handoff after next year. If Aaron does another year and then they hand it off to Will Howard, they might have a quarterback. Who knows? But yeah, I think when you look around the league, truthfully, the hirings have been very weird. I've been surprised by most of the hirings.
Were you surprised the Giants got Harbaugh?
No, I wasn't surprised about that. I knew that once he became available and the Giants wanted him, I thought they would do everything in their power to get him. And then it was just going to be a matter of, I do think it was very advantageous for you that Buffalo won that first playoff game. So you had one less suitor, one less real desirable suitor.
Right.
But I think he's in a perfect spot. He really is in a perfect spot. You want to know something he said that was pretty funny? I don't know if you guys heard. Bouchatti, the owner of the Ravens, he was interviewed about the firing and all. And then he said something to the effect of, well, I had a conversation with John, and I told him you should go to the Giants. They're a great organization. They're a stalwart in the NFL. And then they talked to Harbaugh. Harbaugh goes, I never had a conversation with him after the firing.
He was on Evan and Tiki when he said that.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, that was funny.
That was pretty funny.
And I did like what he said as well, that, if they would have won the game, that kick didn't get missed, would you have stayed with Harbaugh, and he said for a week.
Yeah.
So they were planning on getting rid of him anyway.
That's a douche move, though.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to find out in a hurry. The same way the Giants found out in a hurry when they lost Eli, when they were all crying for Eli to leave. And then all of a sudden you don't have what you had for all that time, and you're like wishing he was back. They're going to wish he was back.
Yeah.
Because
unless Minter ends up being the guy, but he might be or he might not be. Like, Harbaugh he can still coach, right? And we talked about this a bunch of times on the show. If you're a coach and you make the playoffs every year, or even at least get close, that was basically a playoff game with the Steelers. You're coming back every year because, when you get a coordinator in here to be the head coach, it's a complete, it's a crapshoot. You don't know if it's going to work or not. And I agree, Uncle Ted. They're going to find out quick that it's not so easy replacing a coach. I've gone through it with Coughlin. When he left, we've been through 6, including interim coaches. 6 coaches, and we've hopefully found one now.
But they put all their eggs in the Lamar Jackson basket.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of disturbing stuff towards the end of the year that we heard about Lamar Jackson, not personally disturbing, but his football habits, where he didn't want to play. I'm not going to play today. Things like that during a game where I think there was a play in the game where they expected him to take the ball and run with it, and he didn't want to run with it. He just threw it, and he threw an incompletion. And I think Harbaugh he might have been a little fed up by that, and I think for him, it's good because he's getting a fresh start. And I think he's going to be able to show people, listen, I can do this without him. He won a Super Bowl without him, with Joe Flacco.
Yep.
So, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And then you talk about the absolute disgrace that is going. Before this offseason started, I thought the Giants and Jets were both on the same level of crapness. Well, you have moved, well away from the crapness after this offseason because I just don't get it. You fire every single coach, basically every single coach, and yet you don't look at the head coach. And then when guys are saying they're not going to take the job because of Aaron Glenn's situation, don't you think at that point you say, okay, maybe we should just bite the bullet and go? They said a lot of these guys only came for the interview because they respected what Muji's doing. And I'll tell you right now, what the heck is the difference? They even reached out to John Gruden. And John Gruden turned them down. And somebody said they believe that he's going to get fired midway through the season. And whoever's the interim is the interim. But at the end of the season, they're going to make a full court press to get John Gruden here. I'll tell you, I'm on board with that. I don't have a problem with John Gruden coming back. But the thing is, this is the same thing they did when Vrabel got fired. You could have fired Saleh. And fired Saleh and had Vrabel, and instead you keep Saleh, fire him 5 games in, and then you don't get Vrabel because he goes to the Patriots. I don't know. I actually sent an email to the Jets organization. This week I sent an email to the Jets organization, and I just said, with all due respect, Woody Johnson is acting like a moron. And I don't think he's a moron. He's a businessman. But why is he making this team the butt of every joke in the NFL? Every owner, every GM is laughing at their situation right now. Now, that can all change if we have a good draft this year and a good draft next year and a new coach. And then all of a sudden, and a couple of guys have said that. They said, listen, we think Muji will do a good enough job. But what the hell we have to sit through another year? Aaron Glenn, I'm sorry, he is a moron. He interviews 8 defensive coordinator candidates, and then he hires the 9th one because he worked with them. What in the hell is going on?
And isn't this guy a offensive pass game coordinator is what he was last year.
I think he
and
worked
now he's
with
a defensive coordinator.
He might have worked with the defensive backs, but it doesn't matter because Aaron Glenn already said he's going to call the defensive plays. So that's why all those other guys dropped out. They said, well, I'm not going to be a coordinator and not calling plays. And then I'm going to have to be relying on you doing a good job so I don't get fired. I mean, that's ridiculous. Right. An offensive coordinator. Listen, Tanner Angstrand might not have been the best offensive coordinator, but I saw a lot of guys open, and the reason they didn't get the ball was because the quarterback play was atrocious. And then they fire him, and now it's going to be Frank Reich. I mean, they basically got it, but they had a for the Rooney Rule, they had to talk to a bunch of people. But it's just like, so Frank Reich's going to be the interim after Game 5 next year. That's basically what they're saying. We want to make sure, I don't know. Mike, what's going on, Mike?
Look, you can't sit there and say that this team was well coached last year in any aspect of it. And they made the decision early on, after they saw how many firings were going to be going on this cycle. They decided that this is not the year that they want to get rid of Aaron Glenn. So they kept Aaron Glenn, but they got rid of the rest of the coaching staff. And what I'm hoping is going to be the case is that they're going to bring in guys who are not first-time coordinators, who are experienced guys who know what the heck they're doing. Now, they didn't do that on defense, but if Aaron Glenn's going to be calling the plays, then you really have him being the defensive coordinator. But you also need him to be the head coach. He's got to work on the game plan with the offense. He's got to be involved in the whole team. This can't be like Rex Ryan and Rob Saleh, where they don't even worry about the offense and then come in and, win a game 13-10, because that's just not the way the NFL is played anymore. It's just not going to work. But if you get an experienced offensive guy in there who knows what he's doing, and Frank Reich is a really, really good offensive coordinator. So you can't really be upset about that. And I said that at the beginning, is that maybe Tyler was in a little bit over his head, especially with the quarterback room that they had this year and the fact that they were playing, Cook halfway through the season because everything else was such a disaster. But you got to think that Frank Reich's going to be able to do something and get some sort of a semblance of an offense together, because I think that is how you're going to get out of this. Is not through playing good defense and low-scoring games. You're going to have to score to do something. So you're going to have to find a quarterback, whether that's a bridge quarterback this year or draft somebody and get lucky that the Raiders do something stupid at number one. Somebody wows them on draft in the combine and they take them as opposed to taking Mendoza and you get them at 2. But, you said it before. Muji, I have faith in him. He has done all the right moves when it comes to picking young personnel, young players. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And really, this is now his chance to make up the team. He got rid of a lot of the stuff from Joe Douglas era, is all gone with the exception of Wilson and Breece Hall. Everybody else is gone now. There's nobody else from that group that's still here. So, this is his chance to build it and see what he can do. So,
well, look, I think with the Jets, you guys have to hope, and the signs are pointing in this direction, that Muji is good. And I think he is. I think he's very football savvy. I think he's a good executive. He knows what he's doing. But you have a disaster at owner. Mm-hmm. Woody Johnson is a disaster, and you have a disaster at head coach. If Muji can be good at his job and pick good players in the draft and maybe make some moves in free agency or whatever he's going to do to build this team, he can save Aaron Glenn. He could save Woody Johnson from looking like a fool for, 20 straight years, right? But I just the question is, who do you want as quarterback next year, right? You're bringing in Frank Reich, which I don't know if that's signed yet, but I think it's basically there. But he's got to have a quarterback, and I think someone like Jameis would make sense. I don't want to give him up, but that's somebody I go after if I'm the Jets, make a trade for him. There's really not that many choices out there to bring in, though. That's the only issue. Like, who would you guys want? Like, if you had to pick one?
I don't think Jameson's going to be traded. I think Jameis.
I don't think so either.
I think the Giants really like him.
Yeah.
When you look at other quarterbacks, Malik Willis is only 26 years old. Okay. But I still think that he might not come to the Jets for the simple reason that his agent's going to say to him, this team has 3 first-round draft picks next year. They're probably going to pick a quarterback. So he may not want that.
Right.
I think you're going to be looking at trying to get a serviceable quarterback, somebody who is better than Cook, better than Justin Fields. Here's a crazy thought. You know, Justin Fields' stats were better than Shedeur Sanders' stats.
Oh, wait, I thought Shedeur Sanders was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
I thought he had great
exactly.
stats. What do you mean?
I'm going to throw out a couple of names to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a couple of names to you for quarterback. They could be serviceable because they've already proven they're serviceable. Will Levis can come in and compete for a year, right? You're not going to get lightning in a bottle where he's going to be your guy. I'll tell you this. I'd bring in Carson Wentz. He's already worked with Frank Reich.
I like Carson Wentz, actually. I've always liked Carson Wentz.
I'd bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Why not?
What about Kirk Cousins?
I'd bring in Kirk Cousins. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you bring in
He's
Kirk
already
Cousins?
had it happen to him once where they took a quarterback when he got signed to a big contract. He knows what that's like already. So
and listen, he can't have any preconceived notions that he's going to be with the Jets for a long time. He's going to take a money grab, which is fine. Give him the money. So I think those are real options, and unless I have a feeling there's something crazy in my head, I think the Raiders are not going to take Fernando Mendoza.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think they're
no way.
I think they're either going to, if the Jets really love him, although I think they're gearing up for 27, not 26.
Yeah.
But if the Jets really loved him and said, we'll swap places with you and give you one of our 2027 ones, and the Raiders said yes, I'd run to the podium with the card. Because the Raiders are the team that I can see them being blown away by Orville Reese or Cornell Tate, the wide receiver, or the cornerback, or the safety. They love those are Raider guys. You know, like Mendoza might be a little too goofy and laid back for the Raiders.
That was before Tom Brady got there, though.
Who knows? Who knows?
You know what I mean? I would be shocked if they don't take Mendoza. I think even if Brady wasn't there, they'd take him. I don't like using the phrase generational talent, because I don't believe in that until you are a generational talent in the NFL. But this guy's the closest thing I've seen in a very long time. And I think just with Brady there is, I don't see in any way, even if the Jets gave up the house to move up, I think this kid has everything you want in a quarterback from a personality standpoint, too.
Jeff, I'll tell you this. The Raiders have just as many holes as the Jets.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
And if Tom
including
Brady,
quarterback.
Right, but if Tom Brady looks at it and says, man, we can fill 3 or 4 spots. Was maybe the Jets throw in one of their twos also. We can fill 3 or 4 spots. We can work with this quarterback. And then next year, now we have 2 ones. And we're not going to be really that good this year. This is something to think about. I'm telling you, don't
what's the hardest hole to fill? Quarterback. They can do it now. So if they pass on that, they can fill the other holes, but then they got to go back and figure out how to fill the quarterback hole. They can do it this year.
They're also going to get him killed. They're going to get him killed. And I don't think Brady's stupid. I think he might look at it. Listen, I still think they're probably going to pick him, but who the hell knows? Although I do really feel that the Jets are more set up to take a quarterback next year than this year. But I will tell you this. I will take a flyer on a Ty Simpson in this draft if he's available in the right spot. I will take a flyer. I love this guy. I love this one guy in the draft. I love Nussmeier from LSU. I love him. He was injured a lot this year. The year before, he threw 30 touchdowns in the SEC. You get him at the right price, maybe end of the second round, third round. I'm telling you, Nussmeier could be a good addition to this team. I don't know. That's me, though.
Well, we'll see what they do. It's but again, I mean, it's so hard to pass on a quarterback, right, at that number one overall pick.
Of course.
But you guys, but I agree with you, Uncle Teddy. I think you guys have to, and Mike, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think you still have to get a quarterback this year in the draft, no matter what, because even if it's, let's say, third round, the only person I'd stay away from is Pavia. I think that guy's a disaster.
I do too.
But there's other guys you can get.
Down in,
he's also a punk. He's a punk, right? You don't want that guy. But you got to get a quarterback in the draft to at least, take that flyer, because you can get one next year if it doesn't work out,
I forget who the GM was. During the year, they were talking to him about something, and he said NFL teams should take a quarterback every year. At some point in the draft, right? Take a quarterback. Why not? Exactly.
It's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, it is. It's a lottery ticket. Tom Brady, pick number 199, lottery ticket.
Right. Yep. Brock Purdy,
Brock, wasn't he Mr.
Irrelevant, last pick in the draft?
Jeez. Mr. Irrelevant, that's right.
Jeez. Mike, you and Jeff are probably going, Cody Bellinger is a Yankee. And I think it's a good thing. I'm a Met fan. I think it's a good thing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it a little bit last week that we knew it was going to eventually happen. I was in the camp of it being a lot of song and dance going around, but they were eventually going to get him in the door, and I'm glad they did. And I am excited. I got my opening day ticket the other day, so I'm locked in, ready to go for opening day here. They can't come fast enough. I think we have 3 weeks until pitchers and catchers. I think it's February 11th.
Yeah,
it might be 2 weeks away. So, yeah. Let's see when the Yankees.
Well, somebody said today, I think 3 weeks from Saturday, the Mets will be on SNY.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. But Jeff, you weren't with us last week. What do you think about Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was the move that I talked about. Whatever it was, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. That was their number one assignment. It wasn't even getting somebody new. I actually wanted Bichette. You guys got him, and that's a great move for you guys.
Yeah, I love that move.
The Yankees, as long as they got Bellinger back, I would have been, I'm fine. And I hear these Yankee fans who are, screaming and yelling about, they didn't make enough big splashes. I don't think the Yankees really had to make a big splash as long as they brought back Bellinger. This is a team that was tied for the best record in the American League last year. So I'm not upset that the Yankees didn't make this massive move. They didn't have Garrett Cole last year. They're going to have him this year. That to me is a pickup, right? Because they didn't have him at all last year. So I don't think Cashman had to really do anything crazy. I don't know if you guys heard today, though. He didn't do a good job in the press conference.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
Nah, he was like, whatever it was. I don't know if it was a press conference or an interview.
Getting a little
I heard
testy.
The audio. A little testy, he is. And he's like, oh, God, what the heck did he say? He was like, oh, we're not running it back. We made moves. You're running it back. You did not make any moves. Just admit you're running it back. Just say that, listen, we had 95 wins last year, whatever the number was, tied for the American League first place.
Yeah.
We're running it back. We're going to do this again. We have Garrett Cole, but he gets so, he gets prickly with the media.
Yeah.
And he makes a fool of himself sometimes,
If you guys had signed Bo Bichette and let him play short instead of Anthony Volpe, I would say you're a World Series team.
Yeah, that was the move. That was the one move I really wanted.
Cody Bellinger too. Yeah.
Yes, that was the move. And it seems like they weren't even in. Listen, they love Volpe, man. We saw this crap with Greg Bird too, whatever it was, 7 or 8 years ago. When Cashman likes somebody, it's like he has a relationship with them, like a literal relationship. You can't break it. Volpe's not good. I'm sorry, he's not good. And the same thing with Greg Bird, who was probably better than Volpe.
Yeah.
But Bichette was the move. It's just, it is what it is.
Mike, what do you think about Bichette?
I'm not sold on Bichette. I think he was a product of being in Toronto and being in a place where he was in a great spot in that lineup. So, I think he's going to be great for the Mets. I think it's a good thing there. But, it's a very different place to play shortstop at Yankee Stadium, especially. I know it's been a couple of guys since Jeter, but everybody still thinks of the Derek Jeter being there at that shortstop position. It's like trying to be the point guard of the Bulls. You still think of Michael Jordan, even though it's been 35 years since he's played. So, I'm
true.
optimistic on this team. If you're not going to need Volpe to be the guy. You just need him to be better than he was last year. That's all you got. He's got to hit 230, 240, driving a couple of runs, steal some bases, not throw the ball all over the infield.
Not botch defensively.
And if he just does that, and he's just a solid defensive shortstop, I think you can live with whatever his batting average is going to be, because the rest of this lineup is going to be ready to go, especially if everybody stays healthy, which is obviously a big if. But if you could get Stanton for the whole season or for most of the season, if you have Judge doing what Judge does, if you have Bellinger do a repeat of what he's done, I think you're ready to go here. So
I like how you pivoted about Stanton. You almost said the full season, and you're like, most of the season. There was no shot he's making a full season.
Yeah.
If we can get him for, I don't know, give me 70% of the season, I'd be happy. Because he's not making a full year.
That'd be pretty big. And you guys know I'm not a Yankees fan, but I think that this Yankees team they're going to be playing baseball in October for sure.
Yeah, they are.
For sure. And then it's just
especially with the way the wild card is now. You get 3 wild card teams.
How could they not be?
You have to be really, especially in the AL, you have to be not great to get to there, because in the NL you have the NL West is stacked.
Yeah.
You have the NL East, which is stacked, so it's really hard to kind of get into the playoffs. And you know that there's going to be 1 or 2 teams in the Central that are going to be sneaky, whether that's the Cardinals come out of nowhere and are good, and the Cubs, the Reds, the Brewers. Who knows? So AL is got the Yankees. They got maybe one other team from the AL East. The Central is a joke, and then the West is, the Astros, maybe.
Well,
Mariners.
The Central had two teams go to the playoffs last year.
I know.
They did have Cleveland and they had Detroit go to the playoffs last year. So
the Central gets sneaky. They get sneaky out of nowhere, like halfway through the year.
Twins.
Yeah. You have the All-Star break.
That's
you
what
see
I'm hoping.
these teams
I'm hoping
in
the
Central.
Twins win that division and we get to play them in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because just put them into the next round at that point.
Yeah.
So
I'll bet my Christmas bonus on the Yankees for that one for sure. Money line.
Yeah.
Money line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we just finished up a really, the first game was pretty terrible, but 2 championship football games. And Jeff, you had a question for me before Mike came on. Ask me and Mike the question now.
Yeah. So it's a weird spot. I don't think it's a weird spot for Jet fans, but I think some Jet fans may feel this way. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts. So Sam Darnold, right? Didn't work out for the Jets, as everybody knows. Are you annoyed / rooting against him in the Super Bowl, or are you happy for him?
Go ahead, Mike.
I am 1,000% rooting for him. Even if they were playing somebody else other than the Patriots, I'd still be rooting for Sam Darnold. I still wear his jersey. I still have it. Even I didn't wish him this time. I wore the jersey on Friday to work, and it didn't end up costing them. He is actually, believe it or not, look at that draft. There's Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold is the first quarterback of that group to make it to a Super Bowl. If you would have told us Jet fans at draft night when they took Darnold that he's going to be the first guy of this group that gets to a Super Bowl, we would have been ecstatic. Now, granted, it's not with us, but it's still something that you're excited about. And, I've always been a fan of his everywhere he's went. I have nothing but good things to say about him. And, I really hope that he gets the chance to win and to exercise the Patriot demons, exercise the ghosts for that. I think if you're Sam Darnold, you got to get like a Ghostbusters shirt and wear it to like media night just to like say I'm done with the ghosts with the Patriots thing from the Thursday night game that he had with the Jets. But I can't root for him enough in this game. So
I agree. I mean, the night he was drafted, I was actually traveling for business, and I was in, I think, Pensacola, and I was on the phone with Mike. Now, I mean, total transparency, we both were very high on Josh Allen,
Yes.
but we had Sam Darnold right up there with him. And looking at Sam now, you know what it's like, Jeff? It's like when one of your kids, where you're not maybe a great parent, and one of your kids is kind of shitty, and you know it's not going to work, and he decides to leave and join the army. And he goes out there and he makes a couple of stops, and he's still never finding himself. And then finally you find out that he's CEO of this big startup company. And now you look back and you say, I always knew he had it in him. We always loved him. I can't root against him. I can't.
I don't think anybody can root against Sam Darnold. He's been consistent in terms of his personality.
Yep.
Since he got to the league. He never said the wrong thing. He had opportunities to, I guess, right, with some teams and some situations, and never did.
He could have bashed the Jets. He never did.
Oh yeah, he never did. And he easily could have bashed him when he left, because that's what a lot of players do, right? They bash the team to make themselves look better.
Yep.
And he, the Jets didn't do a good job with him, so he probably had a right, even though I don't think he should have, but he could have said something, and you guys probably would have agreed and said, you know what, you're right, we did ruin you. But he's a very easy guy to root for, and I think, I didn't ask a lot of Jeff fans. I wish we had the ability to do like a poll for the listeners, but I'm curious, like what. I think the majority of Jeff fans probably agree with you guys. I think most of them are rooting for Sam, right?
I think so.
I'll tell you this real quick, if I could. Daniel Jones, right? If he went somewhere, I was rooting for him this year.
Sure.
With the Colts, right? So if he ended up being in the Super, this is a very similar situation. And forget even if Jackson Dart was there or wasn't there, I'd be rooting for this kid because he's just like Darnold. Good guy, easy to root for, wasn't his fault. So I get it, man. I 100% get it.
Yeah, I just the only way I would be rooting against Sam is if he was the quarterback of New England.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody knows there's only two teams I absolutely hate in life, and that's the New England Patriots and the New York Rangers. So I can't, I loved Scotty Gomez. When he went to the Rangers, he was dead to me, and that's just how it is. But I love Sam, and I we'll talk about the Super Bowl next week. But I mean, that game, the Denver New England game was awful, and it was awful before the snow came. And Sean Payton did a terrible job coaching. Terrible.
Yep.
I mean, and they can't.
He got way too smart. Yeah. Way too smart for himself. He thought he was going to be the smartest guy out there. Exactly. Oh, we got to go. You got a backup quarterback. You're up 7-0. You got the ball inside the 20-yard line. Go up 2 scores.
Exactly.
Kick the damn field goal. You knew he wasn't good. You knew they weren't going to get that first down. There was 0% chance of that.
Yep.
You got to go up 2 scores there. You got to let your defense play. And then New England couldn't score either.
Yeah.
New England's only touchdown is because Jared Stidham coughed up the ball on whatever that was. Just take the sack there. And again, somebody trying to be too smart. Just take the sack. You're a backup quarterback in a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Just don't make a mistake. That's the only thing that can kill you in that spot is to make a mistake. So
listen, in the playoffs, points are a premium. I don't care where you're playing, whether it's the snow, whether it's in a dome. You can't be like a Will Campbell or Dan Campbell rather, and go for it on downs where you need to kick a field goal to get the points. I don't care what. Again, the weather. You nailed it, Uncle Teddy. This was not a good game from the beginning.
Right.
It was slow. It was dull. But these coaches, for whatever reason, I guess they're adapting with this new NFL where going for it is like a normal thing to do. Whatever happens to kicking the 3? How many games are decided by 2 points?
Yeah.
And how many times do you see in regular season, the playoffs, where these coaches go for it? You see Ben Johnson do this all the time. They go for it and they don't get it when it's a 4th and 4. Take the damn points. 3 points in the NFL, that makes or breaks games. So I don't know. I think that old school style has to come back where pick the damn field goal unless it's like 4th and inches.
Especially in the first half of the game.
Yep.
Right.
In the second half, when you're down and you're trying to do something, you probably are going to go for that there in the second half. If you're down 3 or down 4, obviously you're going to go for it. But if you're down enough where you're just going to get a tie there, you're probably going to go for it. But in the first half, where you got a gift touchdown where you've got the Patriots defense sleeping, and you got a chance to go up 2 scores before Drake May even has an idea of what the hell's going on. He looked lost in that first half.
He did.
And he looked lost for most of that game, to be honest. I mean, Denver's defense really played their ass off. And you got to be pissed off if you're just like the Texans defense has got to be pissed off from the week before.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be pissed off if you're a Denver defensive guy that you should be getting ready to go to Santa Clara for a Super Bowl and not going to Cabo for vacation. So,
and what's funny is Peyton brought in Will Lutz because he loved him as a kicker in New Orleans, and he figured he could be the difference. And then you don't use him in that first half. Yep. It's the same thing with going for 2 all the time. How many times do you lose by 1 and you miss 2 times going for 2s?
Yeah, that's that new math where they say, oh, if you're down 14, you go for 2 because if you miss it, then you can go get it the second time to tie it. But if you make it, then you can win the game. It's like, okay, but
if you
how many times
have you seen it where they missed it twice? Yeah, right.
Yeah, they miss it twice.
Ridiculous. It's this analytic crap that's taking over the game in every sport. Even a guy like Sean Payton, who doesn't come off as an analytic guy. He's an old school coach. Even he's succumbed to this, So I don't know. Points are a premium. I've always felt like that. Like when I watch the Giants, I hate when they go for it on 4th down when they can kick a field goal. Yeah. It's just like take points when you can.
Points.
Well, if you have a good kicker, I think if you don't have a good kicker, I think you probably are more inclined to go for it. Especially, I think in that second half of that game, I think you should go for it as often as you could because there was no way that anyone was making any field goals in that second half. So
that's true. Well, so we have, and then Sam Darnold just did a great job. Seattle overall just did a great job. They took advantage early. Their coach,
they deserve it.
Their coach is doing a great job.
Yep.
Kind of
under the radar.
Very under the radar. So, I'm happy for them.
You don't look at them and think, oh my God, this team is really good. But you forget that they have Cooper Kupp on their team, who is, a really good wide receiver. They got JSN, who is like probably the best receiver all season.
Yep.
You have the running backs have been great, and their defense plays their ass off. So it's like they quietly were the number 1 seed and won their 2 games pretty easily.
Yeah.
When you think about it,
yep.
As easy as a lot of these games are in the playoffs, they didn't have a lot of stress in either of those 2 games. So,
Yeah, listen, this coach really did come out of nowhere too, right? With the Seahawks. He really did a phenomenal job. I think if you ask a lot of fans, they won't even know who Mike McDonald is.
Exactly.
I'll be honest with you. I did not realize that the coach's name was Mike McDonald until halfway through the season. I didn't know who he was.
Right.
I didn't realize he was the coach. And I think a lot of people, they couldn't pick him out of a lineup. And look what he's done. He's probably, hopefully, going to win a Super Bowl this year.
Hey,
really is amazing.
Before we get to Mikey Mush's picks, because we have no football picks for tonight. First of all, though, football standings, playoff standings. Jeff is at 8-4. Mikey went 2-0 last week to bring his record to 6-6, and I am also 6-6. But I wanted to ask you guys a quick question. Bill Belichick does not become a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of thinking he probably should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I would say so.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the case. I mean, unless they're going to, all of a sudden the writers are going to go all Barry Bonds and A-Rod on them and say, well, you had you had Spygate, you had Deflategate, you had all this,
That is true, though. That is
stuff
true.
going on.
The cameras,
right. We're just going to not do him on the first ballot, but to say that he's not a Hall of Fame coach for what he did in New England is crazy.
That is crazy.
I mean, he's a Hall of Fame coach, and he will get to the Hall of Fame. What's going to happen is, 10 years down the road, no one's going to think about this. I was surprised. I looked up. There's so many coaches and players that aren't first ballot Hall of Famers that you would think are. So it's kind of overrated, I guess, as long as you get in, you know.
Is Tom Coughlin in?
Not yet. No, he's not. I mean, listen, if Belichick didn't get in on the first ballot, Coughlin, unfortunately, you know, he may not be around when he gets in. He should get in, and I think he will.
That's the problem, too. They put these guys in after they're dead.
I know.
Could you let the guy enjoy being...
Yeah.
I've been to that Hall of Fame weekend thing, and it's an amazing, amazing weekend. Let them enjoy that. Some of the people they put into the Hall of Fame, I shake my head. And then you don't have a guy like, you know, Bill Belichick and seeing Jordan Hudson for a weekend there being interviewed all over the place.
Or Eli Manning for that case. I mean, that's a little bit more controversial than Belichick, I think. There's probably some people outside of Giant fans who would say that. I think he's a Hall of Famer just because of how he played in the playoffs and how he played every single game in the regular season. I would consider him a Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, how many two-time Super Bowl MVPs are not in the Hall of Fame? The answer is zero. So he should even get in as well.
He had some bad years, obviously, but he finished his career, you know, in the top 10 of all time in major categories. So he actually put the numbers up too. But I'm going to be honest, guys. Maybe I'm in the minority here about the Hall of Fame. I really don't care much about it. I appreciate it. I would visit it. I respect it. But like, to me, if Eli gets in or not, which I think he will, but even if he doesn't, I don't think that's a slight on his career or the way Giant fans think of him at all. You know, it's just more of
I agree with that
status thing. But I agree. I mean, he should be in. But you know, look at the people picking it. It's a bunch of moron writers who don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Well,
so
who was the Giant that came out today or yesterday and said, from this point forward, being elected to the Pro Bowl means nothing after the Shedeur Sanders pick? He's right. He's 100% right.
I mean, it's been a joke since they got rid of the actual game, and even before that, it was a joke because they weren't really playing. But now that it's just like playing flag football and dodgeball and, you know, a glorified skills competition, who cares at this point? The All-Pro is really the one that you got to work on, because that one actually gets voted on by writers and everything else. So that's really the one that you want to be on at this point, not the Pro Bowl, because that's just a glorified, you know, appetizer for the Super Bowl week that they put up now for ESPN to do something. So, you know,
if you live fed me, Mikey, and Smallwood playing golf, it would get a larger audience than the Pro Bowl. Because all of a sudden, people would start talking when we were around the third hole, and they would it would be must-see TV. Right, Mike?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we have enough family and friends that would probably tune in just for that. So
exactly.
You know.
Well, we do have a Mikey Mush pick. Mike, if you want to recap what happened last week and then give us this week's pick, we'll do that. We're going a little long tonight, but who cares? We got Jeff back. We're happy.
Yes, that's right.
We're happy.
Got to make up time.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So
talk to us, Mikey.
So when we have our Polish basketball league scores from last week, we had one was successful. Slosok Warclaw was victorious against the Treffel Sopot, 96-85. So they did cover the spread there, but my Wilkowick team came out roaring in the first quarter, up 12 points after the first quarter, and then proceeded to get outscored by 10 points in the second half to actually lose the game 87-86. So they did not cover their 9.5-point spread. So 1-1 for Mikey Mush last week. Just terrible Wilkowick. I mean, I couldn't. And Glywei's not a good team. They're 4-13, and Wilkowick's 9-8 now. So they should have waxed the floor with them, especially at home. And the fact that they, you know, decided to not play in the fourth quarter is, you know, upsetting. But
those Polish basketball games, they'll always break your heart.
Yep, always do.
Break your heart. Yeah.
So
what do you got this week?
This week we are going over to France. We're doing French rugby union. I don't know what the difference between regular rugby and rugby union is. I'm sure someone in the comments is going to let us know, though. So I have a 3-team parlay for rugby union. I'm going to take La Rochelle minus 450 against Lyon. And I'm going to take Toulon plus 195 at Pau. And then I'm going to take the big underdog that I'm taking, Clermont, plus 310 at Castries. All these games are on Saturday, so take a look. Have some French rugby. Should be fun. Have a little wine and cheese, a little brie, a little Bordeaux. Enjoy it on a Saturday morning. Almost 14-1 on the cheddar goldfish for this, so could be very enticing if those 3 things happen. But Mikey Mush's picks for this week, the deadest week of the year when it comes to sports. But yeah, it's fun. And Jeff, we got to maybe next episode we'll talk a little bit about UFC last weekend, because that main card fight was unbelievable last week, and I'm excited for the fights this weekend as well. So
it was the first, not to go off on this, but it was the first Paramount card. They just signed a deal with Paramount. They had 6 million views, which is insane for the UFC. So,
and 6 million commercials too, but that's
man, I know. But you know what? If you're paying $8 a month instead of $80 for an event, so I'll take the commercials instead of doing that.
Exactly.
Well, Jeff, this weekend you should be able to watch Mikey Mush's picks. Get yourself some milk, some bread, make the French toast, because your Charlotte area is about to get 6 to 8 inches of snow. That would be the equivalent of New Jersey getting 3 feet. So,
right. There's going to be a state of emergency. You're going to have evacuations. There's no doubt.
Exactly.
No doubt about it.
Please be safe. This was fun to have everybody back. Everybody feeling good. We had fun, guys. Remember, go to the LinkTr.ee, send us an email, and let us know if you've had crystals, how you think it stacks up to White Castle. Little throwback there, Mike, for you. But everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you again next week.